Good morning. It's Thursday, March 21st. And the first thing I want to do today is apologize for the screw up on yesterday's rant. And let us remember that even the great and the not so great do make mistakes from time to time. But that's not really a good excuse. I was patriotic, had too many things on my plate at the same time. And so I wasn't paying attention to what I wrote. And I'm sorry for that. And maybe when you make a mistake and people find out about it, they will be anxious to look at the next rant to see if I make another mistake. And I might. After all, I put out over 1,000 of them without a mistake. So I guess I can be forgiven for this. We all make mistakes, and we have to learn from that. And what I learned is that I can't let lots of outside distractions affect the work that I'm doing on these rants. So I'm apologizing for the mistake, but I'm hoping that that mistake will cause many people to come and look and wait for me to make another mistake, and the audience will grow. Mind, Pence is a better guy than Abbott, and the Supreme Court did what they thought was the right thing. But the High Court in Texas went ahead and put a stop to what the Supreme Court had done, and I don't know that they were allowed to do that, but they did it. So I'll leave you with that this morning, and I want to talk about what's really going on in the outside world. I had a statement in my opening remarks that talked about the Texas controversial immigration law, because the last I had heard was that the Supreme Court was allowing that law to stand. But now I read that a federal appeals court late on Tuesday afternoon put that controversial law back on hold. Now they did that several hours after the Supreme Court had cleared the way for the state to begin enforcing the measure. Now I thought once the Supreme Court did something, nobody could override them. So I don't understand exactly how our judicial system works. If the Supreme Court has allowed a law to go into action, then a federal appeals court can override that decision? I guess that's what we have appeals courts for, but I don't understand how that really works. Now, if the federal appeals court hadn't taken that action, then this bill called Senate Bill 4 would have allowed state officials to arrest people they suspect of entering the country illegally. The Supreme Court decision had handed a significant yet temporary win to Texas, which has been battling the Biden administration over immigration policy since Biden was elected, I guess. The law, Texas Action, is waiting to work on Texas' request to put the law back into effect, and that's pending the state's appeal of a federal judge's block of the law. So I don't know how many groups of judges you got working on this law, but it's going back and forth. It seems like a hell of a stupid way to do this. But in any event, that's our legal system. You can appeal, you can reappeal, you can appeal again. Nothing ends quickly in this country, and we can see that all the time around us. So this might be the crux of the matter, though. SB 4, which was signed into law by the Republican governor of Texas, Greg Abbott, makes entering Texas illegally. It makes it a state crime and allows state judges to order immigrants to be deported. However, immigration enforcement is generally a function of the federal government. So, the federal government takes action against the state government because the state government is interfering with the actions that should be provided by the federal government. How's that for a twisted ruling and everything? And how is it that a governor like Greg Abbott knows full well that he doesn't have the responsibility to do the things he's doing? What he's doing is essentially illegal if the federal government is in charge of immigration. Yes, Abbott's state is right in the middle of it, and they are suffering major catastrophes because of the volume of people that are coming into the country through his state. But the actions that he takes cannot be counter to the actions of the federal government, who are theoretically 100% in charge of immigration. Does that make any sense to you? So while a federal judge in Austin had blocked the state government from implementing the law, saying that it could open the door to each state passing its own version of immigration laws, which would be a national disaster. Can you imagine 50 different immigration laws? Isn't it bad enough that we have 50 different voting laws in this country? There are so many things that we do in this country that are governed by states in 50 different ways that we are constantly screwing up. So that the three Supreme Court justices who raised concerns over the law as they dissented from the High Court's opinion, now these guys are supposedly liberal, and one of them still voted that Texas had the right to do whatever they were going to do. But those three judges raised concerns about the mishmash that allowing states to screw around with immigration would cause, you see. So that's what we have in this country. A wonderful country, but the states control many things, and the states control them differently. Each state has a different idea of what is lawful and what is correct. We can see that in the abortion issue. How many different states banned total abortions? How many different states have a 6-week rule and then a 10-week rule, or whatever the rule is? If we use abortion as an example of what can happen when you have 50 different opinions on a subject and no compromise available, then you can see the trouble that this country is in right now. We can't get anything done. And this example, this business at the Texas border, which wouldn't have been an issue at all if Greg Abbott had understood what he was allowed to do and stopped trying to be a big shot, then this issue would have been easily taken care of, I think. Maybe not. If Greg Abbott has kept his hands to himself and kept his nose out of this business and stopped trying to be a big shot and a leader for a lost cause, immigration is a problem in it. And Greg Abbott's actions have only contributed to the mess that we see in this country about this particular issue. So my advice to him is to keep his nose out of other people's business. Anyhow, have a great day. I'll see you in the morning. Bye.